Good looking now, G.
Hey there, excuse me, miss. No disrespect, you're very precious.
Hello everyone, welcome to The Hype. Today we're talking about commitment in relationships. A committed relationship is an interpersonal relationship based upon a mutual agreed upon commitment to one another involving exclusivity, honesty, and openness. However, sometimes we might find ourselves in a relationship where there are no commitments and there's an issue there, either from us or from the one that we want. We'll be discussing the different levels of commitment in relationships, as well as strategies for cultivating a mutual commitment. We have our relationship counselor here, Mr. Jordan Cagle, and he'll be joining us for our discussion. We'll be right back after this.
I'm Al Butler from 900 AM WURD.
I'm Charisma McElwain from the CW Philly. Hey, what's up? This is Kyla Pratt.
Hey, what's up? I'm O'Shea Loren from 100.3 WRNB, and you are watching The Hype.
You're watching The Hype.
And you're watching The Hype.
Calling all music artists from around the world. Here's your opportunity to have your music featured on The Hype. We are looking for respectful hip-hop artists. R&B, soul, pop, dance, rock, and inspirational. All you have to do is send us 6 songs in MP3 format, 6 professional pictures, 1 music video if you have one, and a bio of the artist or group. For more info, visit clayphilly.com. If you're an African American girl between the ages of 14 and 18 and you'd like to participate in our workshops, please visit our website on the screen. You're watching The Hype, TV for, by, and about young women on Comcast Channel 66, Philly Cam.
Shorty, you so fly. I'm on my Johnny Gill like my. Mama, don't say bye. Let's freeze time and get stuck.
Make sure you guys give love to our Hype DJ 007, spinning the music of artists from the Philly area. Today, the Hype Squad includes my co-host Latoya and Saran, who will be making sure the audience has a chance to ask questions. Later on, we'll be hearing from Blush with a report on current events. Now, we would like to join our guest here, Mr. Jordan Cagle. How are you? How are you?
Good.
Awesome. All right, so tell us about yourself. How did you get into this position?
Okay. Well, I first want to tell you, did my undergrad at Kane University in New Jersey. I intended on being a English teacher. I soon realized when I was getting into that field that it wasn't for me, but I knew that I wanted to work with people, with kids in the education system. So I graduated with an English degree and enrolled into the Master's in Counseling program at the College of New Jersey, where I'm now finishing up now, and I'm going to graduate my Master's in Counseling Education.
Okay, awesome. All right, so now our whole episode is talking about committed relationships. Now, we all have different definitions of what it means to be in a committed relationship. What's your definition of what it is to be in a committed relationship?
I think most importantly, when you're in a relationship with somebody, it's important to first agree upon a common definition of what commitment is. I know a lot of times with guys, we sometimes have a different definition of commitment than a female.
Sure do. Don't make me turn my head about this.
So I feel it's important. To, because a lot of times guys may think that commitment is, we got a main chick, We got a
You
side
got a side
chick.
chick.
Yeah.
And you got a number
so,
one chick,
you know, and
number
it-
two.
So in a lot of times, females, the commitment is they're being monogamous with that one person. So it's important to define that definition and come to a common ground, and then that's important. I think you should start.
Wow. It's kind of funny that you said that because I've been having a lot of commitment issues back in my day. I'm only 22, but I didn't have a lot of commitment issues. So who's more afraid of commitment, men or women?
I think that's dependent upon, that could depend from situation to situation.
Right.
But if I had to generalize, and I would say that men are more afraid of commitment.
Ooh, you going against your group?
Yeah, I mean, but I think men are more afraid of commitment.
Why
than
do you
women.
think that?
Yeah.
Well, I think honestly, this is just a counselor coming down
That's
to me.
okay, let it come out.
You know, it's socially constructed that men, a lot of times in society, we are told that we should have a plethora of women. We should have, you know, and that's what defines our manhood is having more than one woman. And we don't settle down until, you know, we get old and gray, and it's like we're at the end of our rope. So a lot of times to kind of fit that role or to fit that stereotype that society kind of puts on us as men, we're afraid to commit.
Okay, so how can you tell somebody is afraid of commitment? Like, how do you tell?
Okay, quick. Here's a quick way to tell. As soon as you mention the word commitment,
Yes.
and they get all frazzled like I just did,
You're not afraid of commitment now, are you?
I have my bouts, but you know, if you bring up the word commitment and they tend to get a little, they try to shy away from it, or their actions aren't following what they're saying, they're committed to, so.
What advice would you give to someone who's afraid of commitment? Or someone who's dealing with someone who's afraid of commitment?
Okay. In a relationship, I think that the best advice you can give someone who's dealing with commitment, phobia, so to say, is that's a point where they can reevaluate that situation and ask themselves what's making them fear this commitment? Is it something in them? Is it something from their past, their childhood? So it's definitely a time they should do some reevaluating of themselves and the situation.
So what if you are in a committed relationship and your partner gives you that ultimatum, like, if you don't commit to me on another level, I'm gone, deuces. What do you do in that situation?
As a man?
Yes. As a male, as a female, it doesn't matter.
As the person who's in it?
Yes, the person who's in it.
Well, okay. Honestly, as a man, as a female, I'm gonna tell you, don't give a man an ultimatum unless it's the last resort, because that backs us into a corner.
Okay.
All right, and so the ultimatum is the last thing you should do. Before that, I think you should take some other measures to try, such as I would talk with them about it.
Okay.
Definitely communication is always key. Okay. And then if he says he wants to commit and his actions aren't lining up with what he's saying the commitment is, then it might be time for you to reevaluate, then drop the ultimatum, and then see what he does from there.
So don't just do it right from the beginning.
Please don't do that. Please don't do that. Don't do that. Do not do that. He will run. I'm telling you.
Okay, but just wait till the last day.
Yeah,
okay?
that's the last thing you should do.
Okay, well, all right, I'm sure the audience has plenty of questions to ask you, so we're going to turn it over to Ms. Saran, who's going to get us some feedback from the audience.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us today. Can you state your name and your question, please?
Hi, my name is Erica Lynn, and my question is, how do you establish the fact that you're in a committed relationship without jumping into assumptions? Like, for example, you know how females, sometimes they be claiming to do, and then if you ask him, he like, no, I don't mess with her. Like, how do you decipher the fact that you're in a committed relationship?
Okay. All right, I'm gonna answer that question. What you do is, like I said, if his actions aren't matching what he's saying, and that's the best way to tell. If he's telling you that you're his girl, and he's not treating you like you're his girl, introduce you to his friends, his family, whomever, then you probably might just be the side chick, or you might just be his John, what y'all say in Philly, his John. No, just make sure his actions are congruent with what he's saying.
Okay, state your name and your question, please.
Hello, my name is Vanessa, and my question is, we're talking about commitment in relationships, and sometimes I hear people who are really young, 13, 14, talking about commitment in relationships. So I just wanted to know, what is the age range that you would say that you should possibly be in a committed relationship, and what different characteristics you as a person should have before you try to get into a committed relationship?
Okay. Now, I think that 14 and 13 being in a committed relationship I don't think that's the most healthy way to go. And honestly, if you're looking to be in a committed relationship at that age, there's something going on within within you. Because honestly, like in counseling, there's a theory called reality therapy or reality choice theory, and a lot of times it's based on needs, and we're individuals based on needs, and one of our needs is love and belonging. So a lot of times, if that need's not met positively, we'll seek it in through a relationship at a young age, which may not be healthy. So.
How you doing? What's your name?
My name is Jam, and my question is, what if you're in a committed relationship, but everybody outside your relationship is trying to break your commitment? What do you do?
Ask their question, girl.
What if you're in a committed relationship and everybody outside that relationship is trying to break your commitment? What do I need a little clarification on that. I'm not.
I don't know what she meant by that, but maybe it's if you're in a relationship and maybe everyone's telling you not to be with that person, so they're trying to break that apart.
Oh, I would say that a lot of times when we're in a relationship, we can't always see what others see. So maybe you do need to evaluate and take that into consideration, and then make your decision from there.
Okay, please state your name and your question.
Hi, I'm Akil. My question is, how would you classify a healthy versus an unhealthy relationship? Because I think there are people that think they're in a healthy relationship, but they're really not. So what's the difference, you think?
Okay. Well, what I think the difference is, in a healthy relationship, things are being reciprocated. Okay. You know, you guys are treating each other equally. You're doing things for each other out of love and not expecting, not out of obligation. And this healthy communication, there's a lot of, like I said, reciprocation. That's the most important thing in a relationship is reciprocation. Right. And in an unhealthy relationship, if you feel like you're putting too much into that person and not putting the same back into you, that may be an unhealthy relationship.
Yes,
Yeah.
That's one of the things that we definitely talk about in CLA. That's one of the days we say the difference between a healthy and unhealthy relationship. We talk about how power is unequal. Right. We talk about respect. We talk about trust. And what's the last thing that we talk about? We talk about and communication, because that's really important in a relationship, is making sure that when you find that all of these things are in line with each other, sometimes it's hard for us to be able to tell what it is that's healthy and unhealthy. But when you find that you're happy, that's usually healthy. When you find yourself stressed out, that's not healthy. Exactly. So sometimes we have to look within ourselves, sometimes talk to other people and see what it is that defines healthy and unhealthy relationship. Now, we're gonna be back more from you and from our audience. Okay. Now I want you all to make sure you stay tuned for this. We'll be right back.
Hey, yo, my name speaks for itself. Put the silence up on the hammer and get murked.
I breathe, and I'ma lay my cards out, no ace of the sleeves, air it out so my feelings can breathe, telling my pain at ease. I need to find a way to let it go, holding your hand while we playing, you saying let go, and while I'm standing on stage, you yelling let go, and when I ask to get us back, you say I don't know. That's kinda crazy, cause I never thought we end like this. You had my last name in the front of me to marry, miss. Now with your friends, I'm the one you talk about in this, falling apart cause I see that I ain't built for this, but now it's funny cause we ending with a crazy twist. And on the phone you saying that I'll be the one you miss. Yeah, you with him, but I'm knowing I'm the one you miss. Yeah, you with him, but I know when I'm the one you miss. Confusion, girl. Confusion. Confusion, girl. Confusion. Confusion, girl.
You're watching The Hype, TV for, by, and about young women on Comcast Channel 66, Philly Cam.
Welcome back. We are here with our guest, Mr. Jordan Cagle. So, Jordan, what is the difference between being in a commitment or having an obligation in a relationship?
Okay, as a male, you never want to feel obligated, because you don't want to feel like you have to do something in a relationship. If somebody's doing something, it should be out of because they genuinely care and they genuinely love you. So you know, in a commitment relationship, you want to do those things out of love and care, not out of obligation. You know, so.
Okay. So where do most commitment issues derive from, and how can a person get over them?
Okay, that's a pretty broad question, but I think it depends. It can derive from maybe you grew up in a household and you saw your parents were together, then they divorced, and that may have affected you a certain way as to where you look at relationships now as, you know, something that you don't want to get into because you don't want to split up. Okay. Like I said, it goes back to that the cultural aspect. A lot of times as men, we feel like settling down makes us look a certain way to our friends, to, you know, other people, and we don't want to commit. So, and what was the last part of that question?
And how do they get over it? How do they
get over it?
Mm-hmm.
I think, you know, even with myself, you know, like I said, I struggle with the commitment aspect due to the reasons such as, like I said, just wanting to be the man and have all these girls, and I wanted to fit that picture. And I got over it, honestly, with being comfortable with myself and being comfortable with being okay that wasn't me. That wasn't who I was. I wasn't somebody who wanted to have, you know, 4 and 5 girls. I wanted to be with one person.
We need more men like you. Oh my God.
Yes. Yeah, so, you know, so it came with time. I had to go through stages, and I just had to become comfortable with myself and just accept the fact that wasn't who I was. So.
What would you tell a female who feels like she can change a man? Because sometimes as women, we feel like we have this opportunity that everybody before him was different. I'm going to be the one to make him my Prince Charming. What would you say to a female like that?
No.
Right.
No, you cannot. That goes for anybody. You can't change anybody unless they want to change first.
Right.
You know, and honestly, I mean, listen, honestly, if you're with a guy and you think you could change him, you can honestly I feel like you could stay with that guy, and eventually, if he's seeing that you really care about him, he may eventually make that change for you once he matures and once he's ready. But you probably have to go through all this, so many things, you know.
But you know, what you're saying, the key part is that he has made that decision.
Yes.
Because what you are doing can influence his actions, but it is not you yourself who is making him change. Because I think that's the little vague line that we women sometimes don't know. It's like sometimes your decisions can make somebody change, but it's them that has to come up to that decision on their own, not you making them change.
Yeah, and he may really want to change. He may want to change, but a lot of times, you know, like I said, we get caught up in, you know, chasing women. You know,
don't make us get churchy.
You know, we a lot of times as men, you know, that is a lot of men build their identity upon getting girls.
That's
you know,
so true. Yes.
And it's sad because I mean, you know, it feels so good when you find somebody that you really care about and you love, and you get to share something intimate and special with that one person.
Oh, this sounds so
you know. I'm serious though, and you know, and a lot of times, like I said, as men, and it goes to, you know, especially in the black community, a lot of times no fathers in the house, and you know, this is how we build this is what we stack our manhood on is running women and being a man, which is something that needs to be changed.
Right.
You know,
Okay.
so.
I know the audience has a few more questions they want to ask you, so we're gonna turn it back over to Ms. Saran, who will ask some more questions.
Okay, can you state your name for me, please?
Dejanay.
Hi, Dejanay. Thank you for joining us today. What's your question?
My question today is, what if you're in a committed relationship with somebody for a couple years or so, and one day they decide to get married, but you're not ready to take that extra step? What do you do in this kind of situation?
Okay.
Is this from the female perspective, or?
Let's do both.
Yeah.
Well,
because sometimes people think that we women are always ready to get married.
No,
Not all women are always ready to get married. Some people don't want that. Some people want to be single. So we can talk about it from both perspectives.
Okay, well, from the female perspective, I think it's very rare that happens. I'm sorry, that's just my opinion. But like I said, in that perspective, I think, like I said, it just goes back to reevaluating and as to why why don't you want to get married? Why don't you want to take the next step? We've been together for, you know, some people go together for 10 years sometimes, and you don't want to get married. So I mean, what's going on? I mean, you want to waste all this time with me, but you don't want to take that next step? Is there a problem, you know, that we need to work out?
Okay.
And from a male's perspective,
Look at you.
you know, marriage is like if you're a vampire, you put the cross up. Sometimes, I mean, sometimes, but I mean, that's definitely, like I said, the communication factor. And then, like I said, if you're doing things like you're married, maybe you need to stop. If you're living with that person, maybe you don't need to live with that person.
Okay.
If you're having sex with that person, maybe you don't need to be having sex anymore. Maybe you need to change something to take that to the next level. Because now they're just feeling like, look, we already like we married, but we gotta get married for it.
Yeah, why bother?
You know, why bother?
Milk for free?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So.
Good insight. Thank you. Thank
So.
Okay, so my question is, how do you know when you found the one?
That's a great question.
How you know you found the one?
Look at you ready to sit back.
Well, look, you know, I can't explain an exact, definition or an exact example, but you'll know personally, because the one's gonna be different for everybody. But when it's that one person where it's just a feeling. I guess it's just a feeling that you get, and you feel like you can't be without that person, and you just can't see yourself with anybody else.
Right.
All right.
Now, what's the difference? Because see, here's the thing.
Go ahead.
Another thing, I'm going to speak for some of us women. Now, we get that confused sometimes by the little hazy feeling love. When some people are in an unhealthy relationship and they have that feeling that you just described. So I don't want our viewers to look at this and be like, yes, I can't be nowhere without him, and he's beating you.
Right.
How do we decipher the difference between feeling that love where you think it's the one, it's not really the one?
Right. So let's not confuse the honeymoon stage with, with love. Like you said, because a lot of times at the beginning of a relationship, you get those butterfly feelings. I love him, I love her so much. And then you get caught up in that. And then, 6-7 months later, the relationship is all hectic, and you're just with that person because you've been with them for so long, and now you just want to stay there.
Right.
So, honestly, I'm sorry, I forgot the last part of the question. It's such a long question.
The question was basically knowing how to decipher between when you're in a healthy relationship and you have that one love feeling and you're not.
Okay, all right, I'm sorry. So like I said, once you get past the honeymoon stage, the hazy feelings you have, your relationship continues to be healthy, but your love is going to evolve differently. You're not still going. At times you may have that hazy feeling, you may have that as you had initially, but your love will evolve differently. The actions will change, and different things will bring you, happiness later on in a relationship. So that's a good way to determine.
Okay, so if you could give us about 5 signs that you're, yes, I said 5. You just give us, all right, we'll make it down to 3. 3 things that you know that when you're in a committed relationship that you should know and see and feel.
Oh,
3 things.
I'll give you 5, I think.
Okay, I mean, just make it.
All right. Got reciprocation.
Okay.
All right. He or she does what they say, their actions match their words. Okay. This is tough, huh?
See? Checking that ego. Go ahead.
I would say they tell you. They tell you. They express that to you.
And their actions go with it?
Yeah, well, I just said that,
you
but.
can say.
Well, yeah, but verbally saying it is just as important. But like I said, the actions have to go with it as well. This is.
How about the way that you feel as though when you're happy with that person, how we said not getting that confused, when you're happy and when you're happy in an unhealthy relationship. So being able to decipher the differences between that will let you know you're in a committed relationship, right?
Definitely, yeah.
Awesome.
Definitely.
Thank you. All right, stay tuned. The Hype will return with a special current events update with Blush Sutton right after this. Have you ever been the reason why your relationship didn't work?
Yes, I have.
Okay, why? How's that?
Temptation. Temptation is crazy. Cheating. Oh, a few times. Not cheerleading, just a few times though. Because I play basketball, I get a lot of things.
You get a lot of attention?
Yeah.
And so you take it?
Sometimes. Now I don't. I turned over a new leaf.
You turned over a new leaf. Okay. Thank you, Brent.
Thank you. Thank you. Nice.
Michelle, have you ever been the reason why your relationship didn't work?
Yes.
How so?
Maybe because I wasn't flexible with the person's schedule or how they felt.
Have you ever been the reason why a relationship didn't work?
Yes.
other side, they've been more introverted people, and they weren't as outgoing as I am. And really, they just saw that maybe I was intimidating towards them and may have been either shy, jealous, scared, or not able to want to even commit to making themselves better to change their education level, whatever it is to take, to make them a better person. And me not wanting to change who I am and not wanting to change who they are, because it's choice. Life is choice, and they have to make their own choice like I made my own choice. And that's why sometimes I'm the reason why, and I accept it. And I say, well, you're not the person for me.
You're watching The Hype, TV for, by, and about young women on Comcast Channel 66, Philly Cam.
As we talk about relationships today, I want to take a few moments to talk about the ugly side of relationships, abuse. I want to talk about the couples that we see in the media and how they influence how we interact with each other. But first, let's define abuse. According to dictionary.com, abuse is any sort of behavior that is offensive, harmful, or injurious. With this in mind, it's easy to point out the Chris Browns and Rihannas of the world because that abuse is visible and it's physical. It's easy to question whether or not they should continue to be together or whether or not he will hit her again. Although most people would agree, without a second thought, that no one, male or female, should be punched, our society, and sometimes young people in particular, are often willing to overlook other forms of abuse in relationships. Whether the deliberate actions are taken that manipulate you, demean you, or aim to control you, that is abuse, even if that person doesn't actually hit you. Consider the Kim Kardashian and Ray J sex tape issue. Although neither of those individuals has claimed responsibility for leaking the tapes, recordings of sexual activities happen more often than you might think, and those recordings are often shared without the other person's consent. The recent Steubenville, Ohio case with 17 and 16-year-old boys is an example of one such case. There was a 16-year-old girl who was too drunk to sexually consent to being prodded, and pictures were taken and a video was circulated. Does anybody think that there was an intent other than to humiliate and to hurt one party while the other party received attention? Was there any other purpose for that? Let's stop tolerating the abuse as normal and stop hiding it as if victims have a reason to feel ashamed. According to breakthecycle.org, nearly 1.5 million high school students are abused physically by boyfriends and girlfriends in a year. However, only 33% of them are likely to tell anybody. Further, the people most likely to watch this show, 16 to 24-year-old girls, experience the highest rate of relationship violence. So let's break rank with those who tolerate abuse. Let's not co-sign this behavior by taking it in stride and putting up with it. Whether it is yelling at you, putting your health at risk through cheating, stalking you online, or actually hitting you, recognize abuse in each of its forms, whether it's emotional, physical, cyberbullying, or even sexual. Rather than write off healthy couples that we see, look for examples in your neighborhood and in your community that are healthy. Those relationships don't have to be deemed pie in the sky while your relationship is keeping it real. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Blush. Thank you. We would like to thank our DJ 007 and our special guest, Jordan Cagle. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you would like to learn more about the music you heard on today's show, or if you would like to be an audience member or learn more about our Healthy Lifestyles workshops, please visit our website, clayphilly.com. I'm Jessica Charles, and for Latoya, Saran, Blush, and the whole Hype team, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Good looking now. Everybody, have to tell you that here with you. Beautiful, beautiful, hey there, excuse me, miss. No disrespect, you're very precious. Please tell me what's your name. You're a precious gem and God's to blame. No, I'm not trying to spit the game, cause it's your soul I'm trying to claim. You probably never heard of this. I love affair without a kiss. Oh,